Can you elaborate on the innovative education pathways your organization offers? So, what are the innovation you are initiating?
So we use a particular methodology that was propounded by Howard Gardner called multiple intelligence. Okay? So what does multiple intelligence say? Multiple intelligence, the child should feel that I'm actually playing, but in the process there's a lot of learning that's happening. Okay, and even for the woman, it has to be very comfortable. She can't be spending time commuting to a place, going, sitting, studying, whatever.
I'm Aishwarya Gilan, social media strategist and 100+ person brand advisor. Recently, I have met Esther Achyuta sir, and then we have got connected via LinkedIn. The first question from our side is, Shraddha Foundation focus on empowering marginalized women and children through education. Can you elaborate on the innovative education pathways your organization offers? So, what are the innovation you are initiating?
What your question is? What about the innovative education pathways?
Innovative education from your organization for the women and children.
Okay, so what is innovative is what you're asking.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about, we're talking about women and children both from the underprivileged segments, right? So they do not get the kind of facilities that we have. So children go to school, maybe a government school, maybe a Panchayat Union school, or maybe a lower end private school. But then when they come back home, they don't have a facility to sit peacefully and study. They don't have a support system at home. The father or the mother may or may not be educated, so they're not. And there are lots of other issues. There's a queue for water, there's a queue for toilet, there's a 300 square feet space where they need to sit and study. So they need to be peaceful to sit and study. So we said, let's work with those children. Coming to the women, there are a number of graduate women who are, typically housewives today. Again, from that segment, okay, who have graduated, who have wanted to do something in life, but then they get married, they have children, and then they run the family. They are in the lower income group category, so they're not really able to come out with what they want to do. Okay, and financially they would like to be stable. They would like to be lead a little more dignified life, which is a challenge. But to get both of them to understand the importance of education, to get both of them to enjoy the process of education. A child goes to school. If it has to be a non-threatening atmosphere for the child. The child should love to go to a school. The child should love to learn. The child should feel that I'm actually playing, but in the process, there's a lot of learning that's happening. Okay, and even for the woman, it has to be very comfortable. She can't be spending time commuting to a place, going, sitting, studying, whatever. So we wanted to make it very comfortable and interesting. So we use a particular methodology that was propounded by Howard Gardner called multiple intelligence. Okay? So what does multiple intelligence say? Multiple intelligence believes that every individual is innately competent, innately capable, innately intelligent. It is just that, we need to talk to them their language. If I were to speak in, say, Japanese to you, you're not going to understand. Assuming you don't know Japanese, you're not going to understand. So I'll have to speak to you in a language that you can pick up. Children pick up the language of gaming. Children pick up the language of play. Children pick up, the language of music. Okay, children pick up the language of physical act. So what we do is multiple intelligence says there are 8 different kinds of intelligences, and every individual has a couple of predominant intelligences. Can we kind of use those intelligences to put some educative value in the child? For example, if a child is very numerically inclined, maybe not so good verbally, how can you get the child to verbally become strong using numbers? If the child is very physically active, how do you get the child to learn numbers using, his competence, which is being kinesthetic, right? So there are 8 kinds of intelligences, like I said. So our curriculum, whatever we are looking at, the primary school curriculum of Tamil Nadu state, which is called the Samachir curriculum. For that curriculum, for that syllabus, we have created an entire set of lessons and lesson plans and curriculum using this methodology, which actually makes a child hooked to the class. So a child wants to come to the class. A child would much rather come to the class rather than, staying at home or playing. So that is the power of this methodology. And the methodology works towards registering. The child registers the concept very well. The child is able to reinforce the concept. The methodology ensures that the child reinforces the concept. Methodology also ensures that the child recalls the concept whenever there's a test or whenever in real life there's a question that comes up, the child is able to use it. Okay, so multiple intelligence is one of the methodologies, one of the predominant methodologies which is innovative that we use. And this is not just children, we also do it with the women who learn with us. So every single lesson plan that they learn, every single concept that they learn, they are taught using multiple intelligence, and they are taught how to use multiple intelligence to deliver for the primary school children. So that is where the innovation is all about. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Well said. My next question is: are you taking this education via digital or manual?
It's both, ma'am. We do both. So for the women, it is completely online. The theory part of it is completely online. They have to do 3 months of theory, which is about 170 hours of training, which is online. Then they have to do a 3 month of practical training, which is completely offline. As in, they go to a school which is near their house, they go and work. They come from a lower income group, or maybe a slightly, upwardly mobile lower income group. Okay, and they identify a school which is close by, which they can walk up to a school, but the school has to be a school which has a primary school which has children who are not really the affordable bracket. So they go to a school, we talk to the school, and these women will have to do their practical training for 3 months there in that school, and they deliver classes for class 1. Okay, they deliver physically, but we handle those women in terms of mentoring and hand holding those 3 months online. And for children, it is completely offline. We have our teachers deployed. There is one challenge, which is many of our women who come from this kind of a background, they may not be able to handle the English classes. So we have a set of English trainers who connect from their residences. It is an online class for the children. Okay, they deliver online, but then the teacher is physically present next to the child to actually help. The teacher herself may not be able to deliver the English session, but then our trainers from here, they deliver with the assistance of the teacher on the ground. So it's a kind of a hybrid model.
Got it. Thank you so much. Then my next question is: with your extensive experience in various business areas, how do you leverage your skills to ensure the financial stability of Strada Foundation? So what will be the financial stability?
See, I come from basically a business development and a franchising background. So business development is more like, not just me. I have a fairly, the entire team is mid-corporate, mid-career women and men. So we all come from nothing less than 15-20 years experience from the corporates, very well connected. I'm an alumnus of IIM Bangalore, so reasonably well connected. So financial stability is the first thing we have been looking, and we will continue to look for. We are fairly stable. We know what we want. We know where to raise that money. We know how to go about doing it. Of course, we need a lot of support, because there are people supporting us. In Tamil they say Tani Maram Thopagadu. You can't have an orchard with a single tree. So many people will have to help us, and that's by God's this thing. It's all happening. We're fairly financially stable.
Sure. Thank you so much. Very glad to hear that. Touched. So can you share some stories of how your work has changed in the many lives? Can you share one story?
So with respect to the women, there are a number of them who have come back. They're working with us, or they've moved ahead and they're working in schools. There are women who have grown in, they've gotten teacher jobs. They've grown in the schools. They've become from assistant teacher to headmistress. So all that has happened. To me, more than money, more than the career growth that they had, to me, what is very important is the fact that they have been able to identify a purpose in them. They have, their self-confidence and their dignity has really gone up. So they, like for example, there are a couple of examples if I can tell you. There's a teacher whose husband is an electrician. Okay? And this lady was a graduate, married for about 9 years, not doing anything, but always wanted to do something. So, but she had this feeling that she could do much better, and she had this loss of identity. There was this small craving that, I don't have an identity. I could be treated much better in the community, in my family, so those kind of things. She did our program, and she joined one of our centers. Today, she manages 2 centers. In one center, she's a center head, and she's very happy the way she's grown. Most importantly, when I was talking to her, I asked her, so what is that one thing that has made a difference to you? So she was telling me, ma'am, today when people are looking for an address or whatever, the landmark they say is it is next to Deepa teacher's house, or it is 3 houses from Deepa teacher's house, something like that. So I have an identity, which is what she's very proud of. And I think she's taken about 3 years with us, but then she's doing a phenomenally good job. Very similar to this, there was another lady with, with a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, she, her husband and son. They were living in Chennai. He was working in a big IT firm, but suddenly took ill. So she was a graduate from one of the remotest parts of Tamil Nadu. She got married, came to Chennai, was leading a very happy life, and suddenly all of this happened. This guy fell sick, so they had to, so he was sent out of the company, or he had to resign or some such thing. So then month on month, money has become a problem, right? If you don't earn, then how do you manage it? So it was a problem. So she decided, and COVID also added to that problem. So she decided, let me go back to the village, because at least I have a house to live there. I don't have to pay rent. So she moved with lock, stock, barrel to that village. She is in one of the aspirational districts of India, in Tamil Nadu. She's there. She did a program. With all those problems, she did our program, and then she was doing some work for us, did some content, some calling, whatever. And then she became a teacher. And then she was telling me that about 6 months back when I spoke to her, she said, my son used to come and ask for anything that he wanted. He used to go and ask his dad or somebody. He will never come and ask me to buy anything. He'll never come and ask me, because he knew I was not earning and I couldn't really help it. And today, ma'am, he comes, anything he wants, he doesn't go to any of them. He comes and asks me, and I feel very nice about it. And you know what, ma'am? I swipe my card and buy things for him. So that was a moment where we felt very accomplished. And so these are a couple of examples. Very similar to this, children also have learned quite a lot. The schools are extremely happy. The schools where we work, they are extremely happy. There was a parent-teacher meeting where children were asked to demonstrate hand washing, and they did hand washing. The 30 seconds hand wash. And then the parents were asking, where did you learn all of this from? And the headmistress also turned around and asked the teachers, it's not in our curriculum. Where did you learn it from? So all those children said, Shraddha teacher taught us. Okay, and the headmistress was also very nice, and she felt very, very nice about the entire. So there are a lot of inspiring and very emotional, things that are happening around us, and this is what keeps us moving forward.
So I think, Madhumati, thank you so much. The first question I wanted to ask is, the reason we shortlisted your profile is, one, you have a typical business, like you are into franchising, developing the businesses, such kind of a background. Suddenly, where is the tip of that curve, or whatever I say, made you to think about this initiative, what you're doing? First of all, that's
no. So it's not been a sudden thing. It's always been there in the mind. My parents used to support a lot of children studying. Okay? It's been there. I was into business. I've been a very successful entrepreneur.
I know.
And I've also worked for India's largest education ventures. So when we worked with those organizations, that's when you realize that education has to be done very differently. Education, the way it is done today, probably there is a lot of scope to do education very, very differently, which is where I started. Education has to be completely non-threat. Children should love to come to a class. One should want to learn. Learning should become fun. So this was one thing that has always been in our minds. Our teachers travel, they take a bus maybe for 2-3 kilometers, and then they take what is called a minibus, which comes once in an hour. They take that bus and then they go to a village. From there they need to walk for say about 20 minutes or so, and then they reach the school. So that segment requires a lot of support, and it's not been a sudden thing. It's been there.
Okay. Now, thank you so much for sharing your passion. So here the second important thing which I wanted to ask is, see, if you have Harvard material, but if you don't have proper delivery, the teachers, and somewhere you can see there a TFI, Teach for India, solve some level of teachers and all. How did you figure out the teachers? How did you able to solve that big problem?
So our capacity building is basically with identifying. So for schools we need teachers. So those teachers are not the ones we pick from the market. What we do is we actually identify graduate women. We do about 600 applications we get, and we shortlist about 20-25 of them, and they go through our Upasana training program, which makes them a teacher. So and we give it free for them with the commitment that they will work with it's a oral commitment. So they work with the school for a year or so, till such time they actually get a little more trained and whatever. So that is a channel through which teachers are recruited year after year after year, because we train about 100 plus teachers every year using our Upasana program, and then they get deployed into the schools, right? So for us, that's so we have a holistic 360-degree solution. We're not looking at working with children and then looking for teachers. We have teachers get deployed. So through the year we have programs.
Wow, I think
Thank you,
yes, that's the excellent. I think you are creating demand first and trying to supply. So I think wow.
Ma'am, right now, how many cities you have reached Shraddha Monu Foundation? How many cities you
How
have?
many villages will be a better question to ask. Our focus is more on the smaller towns and villages and peri Chennai. I mean, of course, we work in cities, but the suburbs of the cities. So we are currently present in 22 locations in Tamil Nadu. Focus is Tamil Nadu. We work in 22 locations.
Are you planning to take other states, or internationally? Are you planning to take?
Right now, our minds and eyes are fixed in Tamil Nadu to ensure that we reach the critical mass there. We are hardly handling 2,000 odd children, okay? And there are a few lakh children who need to be reached.
So, what is your dream after 5 years? The Shraddha Monu Foundation will be after 5 years. Where it will be? What's your dream?
After 5 years, I think we haven't looked at after 5 years in that sense of the term. But then we haven't looked at a timestamp, but we have looked at saying that every single village in Tamil Nadu should have a Shraddha Vipassana micro center. So that would probably, and especially the aspirational districts and blocks. So that would probably mean that it would take another 3-4 years. And then, so we are taking child steps. Okay, we want to be very sure about our steps. Okay, it may be small steps, but very sure steps.
It's great impact, ma'am. Great. Thank you so much for being inspiration to us. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much.
Choco, sir.
Dr. Choco, can you just have any light through throw and ask any questions so that...
Sir, unmute, sir. Unmute.
Yeah, I have nothing to say because I think very well focused. What I liked about y'all is that even though you all come from a business background, just want to know which education industry were you earlier, ma'am?
I've been with a couple of organizations. I worked for a couple of organizations. One was an organization called NIS Sparta, which was training.
I'm an NIS student, ma'am.
So you know what it is. So where did you study?
I studied in Visakhapatnam. Chandrasekhar was my faculty.
Kalluri Chandrasekhar.
Kalluri Chandrasekhar.
So
very interesting. So thank you so much. And last thing, I think is your rich experience. And I'm going to, we are actually trying to create a movement called We Heal the Earth, which is talking about water, environmental health, education, agriculture, livelihood, transport, housing and energy. The 9 services, if you can provide, whichever the village you are talking, through the institutions, through the education, our children, that with our ownership, and that will make a greater impact. That's what I plan. So the question for you is, one, are you open, since you know the franchisee, what is the power of franchise? If you are open, we would love to train for every state like you, who can handle. And if you can, as you really liked about I like the way you said, I have lot of children to do and serve the Tamil Nadu. So the same passionate woman who is trying to replicate your model, are you open for it?
In some other state?
Yes.
We can explore. It will be a function of, how much time, what is it that we will return, in terms of brand, in terms of whatever. We should definitely, we can think about it.
I think with this, we have completed. Ashwa, you have any questions? Completed our interview. Thanks so much for
No, sir.
Pour outing all your experience. I can see the energy, and we are motivated. The kind of very focused. I think you have seen Taco was saying in the chat box, very focused, very organized, very focused. So I'm very, very happy, and we love to publish this story and see that many people will also get connected, and we will tag, and so that you can, if any opportunity, as I said, explore. Either you can directly build a franchise in other state. I can only get a person, or we can also collectively decide and see how we can replicate this thing to other states. This is what in nutshell. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Ruba.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.